Welcome to the 5 keys to self-awareness, where you will learn to transform negative patterns in the way you see yourself and create enriching relationships. So, this is what happens when the strongest contact to the sun in your horoscope, which is all about identity, is from Pluto. So imagine your partner has this, a Sun-Pluto connection. How do they act? Well, they tend to have a very intense, very magnetic personality. They dominate the space they're in, which can make it quite uncomfortable, really. They're determined to make a strong impression. And then they seem very strong, and sometimes they go through a crisis and they kind of get really weak, or they feel very weak. They go through personality changes and intense periods in their lives. The reason that this happens is that as a child, they had this sense of being invisible or not seen. It often happens because the father was not present. I mean, he may have left the home, or he may, if he had been at home, be hiding behind his newspaper. There's something that prevents the connection or prevents the sense of being seen by the father, so you get this kind of invisibility feeling. So in many ways, there's a sort of loss of having a guiding light about how to be. And they can sometimes simply be some kind of traumatic episode also in childhood, which shakes up the identity in one way or another. So if you're with somebody like this, the thing is they tend to be like very black and white. It's either their way or the highway. They don't like compromising. It makes them feel weak, and you don't really know either. What they're thinking. It's like they're very impenetrable, sort of inscrutable, so they kind of dominate. But the last thing they actually want is to dominate. So you need to give a lot of pushback. Really mobilize your resources to kind of set limits to what you're prepared to accept in the partner's behavior. They'll actually appreciate that. That helps them. You have to understand that the partner is kind of compensating for a sense of invisibility, and they don't really know what the effect of how much effect they're having. So they tend to have twice as much kind of effect than intended. So Sun-Pluto in a partner's horoscope, this brings an intense and psychologically challenging relationship with a powerful person who goes through kind of periodic crises and transformations. So what if you have this aspect? Well, basically you probably know the sense of, an underlying anxiety, or a sense that life is empty, or there's a sort of void, kind of frightening feeling. And so you don't really have a sense of how much impact you're making on your environment. And you don't know how to calibrate, how much you should, impinge on another person's life or space. So you either take up too much space, or you don't take up enough any space at all. And the reason, as mentioned before, is like either there's an absent father or other circumstances in your life where you were rendered powerless by circumstances which there was no control of. So having control becomes a really important thing. So what you need to do, if you have Sun-Pluto yourself, it really helps to learn about the nature of identity, study psychology, go into therapy, so that you can become really expert at these kind of areas. In relations to other people, if you're in doubt about how much kind of impact you're having, reduce it by 50%. It'll be fine. You need to give space for other people to be in your life, and relax. You don't have to control. So when you're conscious of this kind of behavior, you gain deep insight, not only into your own character and motivations, but also of others. So you learn to handle power and transform anxiety and discover personal strength.